Generating traffic and sales can be a challenge for online merchants. But selling on the Walmart Marketplace puts your products in front of millions of customers who shop on Walmart.com. And right now, sellers who join Walmart Marketplace can save up to 50% on referral and fulfillment fees for the first 90 days. So get started today. Head over to marketplace.walmart.com/savings. That's marketplace.walmart.com/savings. Welcome to E-Commerce Conversations, a weekly podcast from Practical E-Commerce, hosted by entrepreneur Eric Bandholz.
What is going on, Internet? Eric Bandholz back again with another E-Commerce Conversations. Hope all is well on the other side of the Internet. On the other side of the Internet from me, Mickey. What's up?
Hey, Eric. I love the energy. It's so good to be here. Thank you so much.
Yeah, I am super excited for this podcast. We've been trying to get together for, it seems like, months.
No, my bad.
Nah, I understand how running a company goes. Why don't you tell our customers who the heck are you?
Sure. Well, I'm Mickey Friedman, and I'm here to talk about my company, Flair.ai. We're building an AI-powered design tool for staging product photo shoots, visualizations, and also animations. So basically, we're trying to take this really fragmented and expensive photo shoot process and streamline it into this easy-to-use virtual studio for like 1/100th of the cost.
Yeah, it absolutely. So it's Flair.ai is where you go, right?
Yes.
Follow Mickey on X. What's your handle on X?
It's Mickey X Friedman.
Okay.
Mickey spelled like the mouse.
Okay. What I wanted to say is because I want people who are listening to this podcast to really understand how remarkable AI is coming for product photography. I know there's a period of time where, the text and all that stuff would get pretty warbly. They couldn't deal with text. How has Flair been able to overcome that in your product?
Yeah, so what we do is we preserve your product photos. We don't regenerate the product itself, but we do perform this color correction on the products when you upload them into Flair. So, you're able to upload your product. We preserve all the letters. We change the color ever so slightly so it blends in with the scene around it. But yeah, brand preservation, text preservation are two of the most important things to us.
Yeah, I would imagine. I mean, I know nothing about development, AI, anything like that, how the tools are being used. What's really cool with Flair is you have almost like an inventory of resources like flowers and squares and blocks that are in a two-dimensional space. And then you can magically just bring them in and it creates a photo from that. Walk me through how you guys have been tackling this problem and looking to solve this for brands.
Absolutely. So I could just talk to you about our journey in building Flair from the very beginning. So I was pretty early on to the AI art scene, actually. Even before I was interested in marketing and photo shoots, I was more interested in the creative process and playing around with AI models to basically create art. The very popular sort of process in the day was just taking a little bit of text and generating images out of it. Going from zero, just a string of text, to a complete masterpiece. And I still think that there's a place for that. Midjourney has obviously done extremely well. But, when you really are working with creatives in the e-commerce space and, people that already have pre-existing brands, they want to preserve their assets. They also need a process that's more iterative. They also want to have control over the visual arrangement of their scenes. AI is a little bit of a black box. It's really difficult to control the visual arrangement of your scenes with just text to image alone. So I thought about the, process of building a product photo shoot from the ground up, the creative process, because that's sort of my bread and butter. And what I wanted to do was replicate that process as much as I could. So, instead of, trying to describe a photo shoot, which I think came super It felt super unnatural to my users. I wanted to create this drag and drop canvas where you can arrange props, photo shoot props digitally around your products in a scene. And I think that workflow has really resonated with our users, because they can sort of see the props as they are, and they can think about ways that they all fit together in a cohesive photo shoot. So that's sort of the process that we're trying to target in Flair. Right now, Flair is 2D, as you mentioned, but photo shoots are 3D. So Flair is going to become 3D as well. That's going to be the next iteration of what we're building.
Yeah, I was going to talk a little bit or ask a little bit about 3D. Like, could I 3D render my product and send over what kind of file is that? Like, it's not a DNG. I don't know.
Dot obj.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
know how to
like
pronounce. Yeah,
OBJ or something like that.
OBJ, exactly.
Um,
FBX.
yeah. So is that the future then? Is like you can work with like 3D models and effectively
Yeah.
to like how and it'll all be web based then, I guess, instead of like having to work through AutoCAD or whatever the software is.
It'll be in the browser, and not only will, of course, you will be able to upload 3D models of your products, but the goal is to generate 3D models from 2D images. So, if you're only working with like a picture of a LaCroix can, we can get, a good 180 of that can, 180 degrees of it, and generate it and place it in the scene. So the goal is to take just images and to build 3D worlds out of them.
Yeah, so you would do like a front and side, back, the other side, something like that, 4 images
Yeah,
and piece it together. And maybe
exactly.
would you even need like a top and bottom from that? Or, um,
Like the top of the can and bottom.
yeah,
No, typically just like a few photos, and we'd be able to stitch them together, create a 3D model.
that's pretty cool. I think like most e-commerce, well, I would hope that most e-commerce brands would know how to photograph just like kind of the knockout photography, right? So you get the 4 different versions, you make sure they're all the same size or similar size and same lighting, same atmosphere, and then send it over. How are you guys? You mentioned you have these props. Do brands or creators have the option to upload their own props, or is that going to have to go entirely through you guys?
Oh yeah, brands are already uploading their own props. We figure that, brands, they have, certain assets that they like to use over and over again. So what you could essentially do as a brand is, if you have a photo shoot that is really highly converting and has worked for you, you could, take props from that photo shoot and then reconfigure them in digital photo shoots with Flair. So, you can basically use all the resources that have worked well with you before, but just, create many different versions of it.
Yeah, and like you notice, you guys listening to this can't see this, but I've got some neon lights in the background. That's kind of like the vibe we've been going with Beard Brand, is like a lot of kind of like cyberpunk kind of dystopian look, like bringing in like lighting elements. Is that something that you can integrate into Flair as well?
Yeah, we need to work. We need to move faster, but we just want to take every element of a photo shoot and just replicate it in this little virtual studio. The other thing that I'm like highly interested in, or that you can sort of already do in the platform, if you find it, we need to make it a more obvious process. But you can upload reference images. So if, let's say that you want to recreate the photo shoot that I'm imagining with, Beard Brand, where you have like the neon lights, the blue and the dark purple. You can upload a reference image of that photo shoot and then describe it in Flair, and it'll replicate as best as it can, the aesthetic that you were trying to define in your previous like marketing campaigns.
So I'm familiar with like Magnificent AI. So it's like a similar feature to that, where it's like, here's the reference image, and you know, I don't know too much about the technicalities. Is this like, is the image generation being built off of like a Mid-Journey open source platform? Is that how all that stuff works, or like how are you able to?
We Yeah, so when we first started off, we were using Stable Diffusion as the base model. But and we still have the same architecture as Stable Diffusion, but we've we grew the team, we were able to retrain it on a lot of our own data. We even have like 3D artists rendering data for us using Blender, etc. So we really do like retrain the models that these foundational models that you're familiar with.
One of the
But don't use Midjourney, unfortunately. They've got a wonderful model, but no one has access to it.
Okay, yeah. So it's
Yeah.
it's their own little walled garden, I guess.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
One of the one of the props that you guys have are hands, and like historically, and by historically I mean like the past year, like hands have been really hard. Like, how have you guys been able to master that?
Yeah. So it's we've used this process. The technical term is control net, but let me explain to you what control net does. It basically takes the outline of, if you upload a hand, it'll take the outline, but then it'll adjust the coloring to fit the scene that you place the prop in. So, we have these in order to sort of create this layered look in photo shoots, we have these props called hands where you can place your product into the hand. And we try to blend the hand in so that it looks consistent with the coloring of your product. So that's sort of what we're doing. We're taking the outline of the prop and then we're just adjusting everything to the entire scene. So, like as much as we are like an image generation tool, a lot of what we're doing is just taking pre-existing elements and then harmonizing them all together.
What are you seeing some of your customers using the tool for? Is it simply just like website design? Is it social media posts? Is it ads? Or what are kind of the best use cases for it?
Yeah, landing page, like images are very popular. So it's always a joy to see, paying customers and then to find their emails and then to see like a Flair image on their landing page. That's wonderful. And also organic social posts. Like that's extremely popular with Flair too. We aren't integrated right now with Facebook ads or Google ads, but I think that's coming, and we'll probably see more Flair posts there as well in the future.
I think about this like from my perspective as a brand operator, and you think about like how can you better serve your customers. What this allows you to do, because the cost is so inexpensive relative to a photo shoot, is now all of a
Yeah.
sudden I've got 5 different hand models with like different you know different color hands representing like different audiences that you can
Yeah.
drive them to like different landing pages. So like we're now able to kind of like build a persona that allows the potential customer to resonate more with your brand by having those like images quickly done. So I would imagine like that would be one great quick way, or it could be like email segmentations. If you think about it, if you can like segment your audience based on some type of feedback or how they come in, then you're able to really optimize and improve the way that you communicate directly with your customer.
Yeah. Right now, we're trying to define the creative process of building a photo shoot. A lot of these AI tools, they want to take humans out of the creative process, where we want, humans to be able to basically execute whatever vision they have in their head. But the next step is to make Flair more data driven. Like we want for Flair to, as soon as you kind of stage a scene, as soon as you as the artistic director, define the type of photo shoot that you want, we want to generate many different versions of that and then test them. I think that that's like the perfect, like finding the balance between, like automation, but also like your vision as a creative director, your vision as like an operator. I think that like we're going to try very hard to find that balance.
Yeah, it's interesting that you mentioned that. Like when I think of and Flair and what I've seen from what you share publicly, it's like very professional looking photo shoots. Have you
Mhm.
guys like gone down the rabbit hole of like more like user generated content style of product
Mm.
photography?
I think that we will eventually. It's kind of funny. Like there was a little bit of an explosion of these almost like AI avatars. They became very popular among startups. So, like as much as I want to do everything, our strategy was to basically take on the category that we felt there was like less attention towards. So, like eventually we do want to like create more user-generated content. I think that like those campaigns are so successful, but we didn't really, of all the marketing startups, they all seem to either go either the user-generated content avatar direction, or they were mostly interested in like ad automation. And we wanted to be the one like e-commerce design platform that empowered our users with the creative process. So, like we want to master that first, but it's definitely something that I'm thinking about.
How, if I'm a brand owner and I'm not operating this and I want my team to get into Flair, like how do
Mhm.
I recommend them ramp up and understand the software and understand like the best, the best cases to make sure you're outputting what kind of you envision in your mind? Because I think one of the challenges I personally have had is like I'll follow someone like you or who is it, like Nick St. Pierre is just like this AI guy,
Yeah.
and he just posts these incredible AI things, AI images that he's generated, and then I go into Midjourney and I just get like derpy looking like uninteresting like photos, and it's like, what is that process? Do you guys have like an onboarding process for that?
We are constantly trying to improve our onboarding process. Flair is like really a tool that I think, you have to experiment around with. I think most AI tools are a little bit like that because certain things work really well with models. And then, if you apply the same behaviors as you would in Midjourney to Flair, it would be a completely different outcome. Like it's really difficult, I think, for users to come into a new platform and calibrate to the model of that platform to tease out the best results from that model. I'm trying hard to build out more of like build out more tutorials that I'm going to be posting like on our landing page on YouTube. So hopefully more users will be able to follow along those. I also want to, like this is all like going to be in the next few months, but to create more templates that, prop templates that are already preset. So users can just kind of dive into a photo shoot, rearrange or reposition a few of the elements, but already have a good result at their hand instead of starting from, square one, which is where users are right now. So yeah, constantly improving. But yeah, like, do you have any ideas on how to like? Has there ever been an AI tool that has worked really well for you there?
Well, I mean, I don't know if I'm the best person to speak from this because I don't live in the world of AI. My web dev person does. Like she's always doing more for coding than like image generations, but she does kind of tweak in there. I would say like what I really like seeing you do and what you've posted on X is seeing a photo shoot of a cool brand and then
Hmm.
recreating it in Flair. And I feel like if you're kind of like getting up to speed to something, I think like that's the best way to get started. So it's like you bring in your product image, like I don't know. I think like from your behalf, like as Flair, you'd have to create your own photo shoot so you're not ripping off, a brands or
Yeah.
something like that. But if you are kind of doing this onboard trading process, is like, all right, here's this kind of photo shoot. Let's give it a whirl. Here's a photo shoot with a hand. Let's give that a whirl. Here's like, this kind of environment. Like for us, I
Mhm.
imagine it would be really cool to do like a bathroom scene. I don't know if that's something that Flair has or not.
We definitely need more bathroom templates. I kind of went all in on the fragrance, like the floral fragrance ads, but yeah, very easy to make a template and then to create a few props. If you check on, if I'll make a few props later today just for you and just to show you that we absolutely can. But yeah, those we should do those because those are very popular.
Do you think it's a photographer who's going to have the best success in this, or do you think there's a different type of personality who's going to be able to generate better results?
Yeah, what we've seen is that the people that like really gravitate towards Flair are at the intersection of e-commerce and creativity. So oftentimes the people who, um, really like, I guess, understand the platform intuitively from the get-go, they're either from a brand's like in-house design team, they've got a very particular sense of what they want, or they're from even like a design agency. We have a lot of activity there as well. So I think that those are the users that like really that are able to like really pick up on props and like work photo shoots the best from the get-go.
Yeah, so it's almost like they're going to be like historically like producers or art directors, more of kind of like the organizer of the photo shoot, and like because you almost take like the guesswork of photography out of it. Like you
Yeah.
guys nail the lighting, you nail all the props. You just kind of like who can like piece them together in a way that's aesthetically pleasing.
Yeah, there's a lot of storyboarding on Flair, but also marketers, enjoy the product too. I think that, like sometimes it's like there are like we've had customers before who they have like a dream photo shoot that they just can't execute on because it would require so much coordination. It would require them to hire people. And they've got like this vision of something extremely particular. When they go into Flair and they upload the product to the canvas, they find all the props that they need and they're able to, basically replicate their dream photo shoot right there in the platform. So, we have a lot of like marketers who I think have creative instinct, but they haven't been able to execute on it for budget reasons, because of time constraints, etc.
You mentioned you'll go to a website and you'll see a Flair image. How can you tell it's a Flair image?
Sometimes I'm pretty familiar with the model at this point. I've noticed that like the edges of Flair images and the background too are sometimes slightly blurred. It's not because we're trying to reduce the model quality, it's to create the perception of depth. So sometimes I'll notice that style paired with distinct props that I have generated myself. Because I have hand generated like hundreds of props on the platform. So I'm pretty familiar with like how they look like, and it's always fun seeing something that you have created like on someone else's website. So it's just like those two things.
Yeah, so let's kind of transition into a little bit more about that, like how you're building the business. Like this is a relatively new business, right? You've been doing it for what, a year or something like that?
Around a year and a half.
Okay.
But launching, yeah, just a year since we've launched.
Yeah, so you launched a year ago, and how big is the team now working on the project?
It's only 5 people.
Okay.
So we're keeping it pretty lean, but we've onboarded over 1 million users at this point. So uh yeah, that's what I meant before the call when I said massively understaffed.
How do you, I mean, 1 million users are using Flair?
Yeah, or like over the course of a year, 1 million
Yeah.
users have signed on, with like many thousands of customers.
That's absolutely. I mean, obviously, there's not 1 million e-commerce brands. So, like, are how are people using this in ways beyond e-commerce?
Yeah. I think a lot of them are actually like mom and pop shops, or like they're much smaller. We're trying to move up market, we're trying to move into collaboration, all that stuff. But a lot of them are, either mom and pop shops or they're freelancers. Like sometimes we have people that are drop shipping even. So like lots of people come in to use Flair. The ideal customer though is a brand with either, who would replace either, like a design agency with Flair, to cut down on costs, or to enhance their own in-house design team. So that would be the ideal customer. And we're building out tools for that customer profile specifically.
Yeah. How are you guys bootstrapped, or what is kind of like the long term? More of the long term vision of how you want to build a brand. Is it you talk about catering towards maybe a little bit larger in-house brand, a
Mm-hmm.
few more resources, but like what kind of, I would imagine that can only get you to a certain point. Like, is there plans to grow beyond that, or just to try to
Yeah.
serve that audience a little bit in more different ways? What I'm curious about is like, how do you envision continuing to build Flare out as, I look at it as a longtime player in like the e-com space or the brand space. Like, what I joke about is like the only thing harder than running an e-commerce business selling products to people is like running a SaaS business selling to e-commerce owners, because like we're notoriously cheap. It becomes like a fickle market, and then like at a certain point, like you capture all the market share, and like, so how do you grow once you hit that point? Or maybe it's not even a problem. It's not a problem for now. So it's like, do you even think about it?
It's a pretty large TAM. So we want every brand in the world to use Flair in some capacity. For some smaller brands, I think it'll replace photo shoots. Those are the ones with budget constraints, as I mentioned. But even for large brands, that can afford photo shoots, they still need tools that they can use to visually communicate with each other. They still need tools where they can storyboard with each other. So I think that, as long as a brand is, like as long as they require photo shoots to market to their customers, like Flair will be involved in their workflow in some way. That's the goal. And it is a very large market. We also are going to be branching out into other categories as well, like fashion. We already have, this kind of subtle feature. We haven't even announced it yet, but it's been on the platform for a while, where you can, basically take a sweater and then place it on a virtual human model. So I think that, as we expand into fashion and then also product commercials, which are typically very expensive and only, like the largest brands can afford, with either CGI or like professional videography. I think that there are many ways that we can expand from this one, category.
Yeah. And then like, are you raising money, or are you going to try to bootstrap it? Are you guys, I mean, you're
Oh
charging
yeah.
currently.
So yeah, we raised a seed round
All right.
recently. Yeah. So yeah, that'll definitely because building an AI company is also expensive for other reasons. We do a lot of our own model training. We have to pay for compute to even run the models. So yeah, we needed to raise a seed for that. But we do have aspirations to be like the photo shoot tool that brands of every size can rely on.
Yeah, I think about like, what's even crazy is like, I even think about like eBay and like people selling, their products. And if you don't want to show off your home, or, like your kitchen or whatever, like the average consumer, I would imagine that's probably not the best target market, but like it does show like the potential and the opportunity, um, for how you can use this tool in the future.
Exactly.
What kind of AI is so competitive? Like, how are you able to find the talent that can that has the expertise to build this out? And it seems like it moves so quickly. Like, how do you stay, bleeding edge?
Yeah. So for talent, we actually kind of have this like artistic culture at Flair almost. Um, so we've hired from Amazon, Google, and Microsoft. Love my teammates. Many of or two of them have actually had previous experience at design agencies and marketing agencies. So this is, kind of a part of their world. They understand the problem well, and they also like to build, in the creativity space. So I think that, like we lead in with culture first and then technology second. Like obviously they're fantastic engineers. But like we are really interested in defining a new creative process at Flair and putting humans at the center of that process. And I think that mission really resonates with them. So that's how I guess like we've attracted really special talent. Um, to stay in the cutting edge, well, I could tell you a little bit about my experience. I'm fairly early on in my career, but I've always supported AI teams at Adobe and Tesla. I was also extremely early to the AI art scene. I've been playing around with, AI. Obviously, AI was very different back then, but I've been playing around with AI art since 2018, and I've always stayed up to date through communities on Twitter and have been like almost hungry for like the newest paper to drop. Same with my co-founder. He's so plugged in. And not only that, but like he is so fast when it comes to like adopting new technology into our pipeline. So, I think that being online has had that benefit for us. We just interact with a lot of researchers. We were able to, really iterate quickly on new things that are available in the AI space.
I wanted, I would imagine at this time in your business, there's a lot of things that change really rapidly. Walk me
Yeah.
through like your current pricing structure. It looks like you have a free tier and then a basic and a pro. And it seems like the major thing is just the amount of images you can get and kind of like the priority of rendering. Is that walk me through like how you guys came up to that decision and if you feel like that's going to be the way forward as well.
Yeah, honestly, we didn't when we first launched Flair, like in March of last year, we just started charging like $9 after 30 free images just to see if people would pay. So there wasn't really that much thought that went into it. Since then, we've added a tier because people were spending like hours on Flair just generating images, and it was costing more money to support them. I think that like the pricing structure will stay the same, though it will change in the sense that we want to make Flair we want to make Flair the space where they can where teams can operate together. So there will be a new tier coming pretty soon where, as a team you can store your brand assets in Flair, and you can also like manage photo shoots, test them out iteratively, and operate as like a cohesive team. So that's going to be like the new the new tier that we're going to be releasing pretty soon, a new collaborative feature. But yeah, I think that's like the only way that it's going to change. And we're going to really prioritize collaboration. We want to be like the Figma for photo shoots.
Yeah. I think like also like from my perspective, and listeners will probably get mad at me, but I feel like you're severely underpricing your product right now. Like your most expensive one right now, as we say this, and maybe you'll change it after we hang up this call, which will probably be to the chagrin of the listeners, is $35 a month. And like we're paying, at Beard Brand, $32,000 a year, for photography. Yeah. To have like professional shoots and, to hire out the photographer and to line up all the props and to rent the props and, to make sure it meets our standards. And I think, for brands probably our size or higher or who invest a lot into the brand image, like $35 a month is just like, it's literally nothing. Like assuming you don't have any competitors, which I'm not aware of any. You don't have to, obviously I wouldn't expect you to tell your competitors on a podcast, but it seems like a very novel, particular product designed explicitly for product focused brands that will save just a tremendous, like even at $500 a month, it's saving, because what is that? $6,000 a year versus, $32 or $36,000 a year, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, like, I do think there is a lot of opportunity, and maybe it is like those tools where, you have multiple users and, you can upload brand assets. I think another option is like, maybe you have like your basic prop and then you pay, a little bit more to get access to more props and things like that. Could be.
Yeah. I'd love to brainstorm on this with you. Because like that, I think you're right. Flair is underpriced at the moment. We wanted to basically get as much traction as we could with smaller brands while we made our images super high quality. But, as we move probably a little bit more up market, I don't think we'll ever be too expensive, way less than $500 a month. But I do think that, we'll at least, I'm looking forward to just experimenting with pricing a little bit more.
Yeah, I mean, like at $500 a month, like you really have to be like a lot of photography, and it's a big part of your brand and your business, because then it becomes less of a no-brainer. I mean, like right now, if you have an e-commerce brand and you're not using like Flair, it doesn't make sense at all. Like you're just almost shooting yourself in the foot.
Tell me more about your photo shoot process though. Like, do you outsource, or do you have like an in-house design team that manages it? Or like, I guess like what is it like for Beard Brand?
Yeah, so we're a pretty small company as well. We're about 9 employees, and we have I have an art director who she also handles our graphic design and our photo shoots. So she would do all of our product photography in-house. She just had a baby about a year ago, and then she went half-time. So now that she's half-time, she's kept the graphic design, but she's outsourced the photography. So we work with an agency called Bird Hill, and they will line up photo shoots for us on like a quarterly basis. So we'll tell them like, hey, here's the products that we need. Let's get them lined up. They'll find the models. They'll buy the props. I mean, they'll do it the way that has been done traditionally, and they're not inexpensive. Like they're pretty pricey.
Well, your photo shoots they look very good. Very distinct and very like I really like them.
Yeah, I mean, and this is for anyone listening, like you do get what you pay for, assuming you kind of know what you're doing. Like there is a big difference between, hiring a professional who understands like how to use props and how to line up products and how to make it interesting. Like the big brands use it so much in their styles that you just kind of assume that that's normal. But it is really hard work to get that stuff. But I do think like, Flair offers opportunity. Well, maybe it's for assets that aren't going to be seen as far and wide. Maybe it's an ad that we're just testing out, or maybe it's just a social media post that we're putting up on a story for a day or something, or an email that's going out. Like there's all these kind of like use cases that you could have where it's like, I need an image, but it's not going to be the banner image of our website for the next 12 months. So I think there's kind of a place for that where you get with AI, like almost the exact same quality. And as you can tell, like you can tell your photograph. So, there's a slight difference between the real thing and AI, but it gets you 90% of the way there, 95% of the way there.
Yeah. And I think that, that gap between like 90 to 95% to 100, I think that gap is going to be closing over the next few years at the very least. So like that's another reason why we started off as a consumer company. We knew that, these models are so new. We want to make Flair affordable so people can test it out, so people can give us feedback. But over time, as the models, get better, and as, our platform gets better, then, the quality will increase. And I think eventually we will create, those banner ads, that you'll see. I think that everything will be AI generated. My only hope is that like humans are at the center of that process, and that they're the ones that are directing things instead of some black box algorithm.
Well, who knows? I guess time will tell.
Yeah.
Where can people sign up for Flair? Where can they follow you? Where can they learn more?
Sure. The platform is Flair.ai. You get 30 free images unless you use the real-time feature. The real-time feature is super, super fast, in which case, basically you get, I think, around like 5 GPU minutes to play around with it and to render things. You can play around with it at Flair.ai. You can either add me on LinkedIn. My name is Mickey Friedman, or follow me on Twitter where I'm Mickey X Friedman. I'm also trying to slowly grow out Flair's Instagram presence. So that's Flair.ai_, and the same thing on Twitter, Flair.ai_. And happy to answer any questions you might have.
Well, I am so grateful that we finally lined this up, got you on the show. I think what you're doing is amazing, and it's going to be a great resource for the people listening to this. So thank you again for coming on and creating.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, for creating such a cool product. As always, guys, this has been another E-commerce Conversations. Hope you enjoyed it as much as I did. Cheers. Keep on growing.